Look at the cactuses though. Okay, because this is gorgeous.
Welcome to Walks of Life podcast. My name is Naja.
My name is Promise.
I'm Billy.
This is not my friend.
This is not my twin.
This is not my sister.
This is not my cousin.
This is my wife.
This is the love of my life.
And that's all I'm period, guys.
And that's just
okay.
that.
I'm Billy Sandora Ness, and I'm one of the owners of Daddy's Plants, and you two have reached out to us, so I'm really happy to do this conversation. Yeah.
Tell us the background behind wanting to start a business.
Yeah. Starting a business, I think I always was wanting to do since I was pretty young. I thought it seemed like a nice escape from what everyone older than me was doing, having just these jobs that they had forever. And if I was gonna have a job forever, I figured wouldn't it be nice just to own it and run it?
Yes.
So that started earlier on. My husband and I, we kind of started creating what we could consider a brand when we had YouTube back in the day. It allowed us a little bit to create a personality and have an audience, and that really helped us feel good enough to open a business because we knew that we had some people following our journey a little bit from YouTube. So also it gave us a lot of confidence in starting a business because we knew there could be people already listening, already watching. So there was a lot of that early on, just with the idea of doing it. We moved to Buffalo from New York City, and that was also a big part of it because it was like, we're never gonna own something there. So here we could buy a home. We could also, we saw many businesses that looked feasible for the folks running them, and I'm like, okay, if people can run a business here and they've been doing it for years, why can't I? So that's kind of what Buffalo played in it too, is you feel like here it's a little bit more in your reach to try something. Yeah.
Is New York your hometown?
Yes, yeah. Well, I'm from Queens. I'm from Long Island, so that general area, not Manhattan, but yeah. Yeah, so from down there, and honestly, I try to involve that a lot in my business too. I try to build a life where I can commute down there and go see my family, but also go get plants and stock the store up in Buffalo. So I try to tie a lot of the life things I want into my job, because otherwise then I don't see people, and I'm trying to give the job and the business a little bit of my own, self-fulfillment beyond the business, make sure I get some time in with the people I care about, make sure the locations are somewhere I can learn something or see people I need to see. It's a little more fun to have a business and then construct your life around it that way. Yeah.
So you said you started off with YouTube. So I just want to get even more deeper into your steps. So what was this like? Were you just at home chilling on the couch one day? You and your husband were just talking okay, we got, it would be right for us to do a YouTube. How did that go? What's those steps? Those deep steps that
it was, it was in 2012. So over 10 years ago, YouTube was a little bit of a different beast then. You could really start anything and build it in a way that was not already there. So, I think it was very open to us. My husband was on YouTube already doing reviews of America's Next Top Model back in the day. So he was very familiar with having the cameras up and doing this. And then he stopped doing that, and we were talking about getting married. We had our wedding plans coming up, and there was no content on YouTube at the time of couples who were getting married. So we thought, let's answer all the questions about kind of the questions we were getting as two men, things that were as simple back then as who's the bride and who's the groom and things like that. So we answered those questions, and that gave us a structure for YouTube, and it did help us work well together, but it also was exhausting for two partners to be doing that all the time. So the YouTube did kind of foray and become the business in a way. We kind of worked from YouTube, learning from what our viewers want there, and then realizing also when we started a business, we have to figure out what our customers want. It's not just what we want, and YouTube taught us that. There's a little bit of you get feedback from people. Yeah.
How do you balance, being partners in success with your person and being lovers as well? How do you balance that? Because us personally, we had to balance that as well. Just okay, we've been talking a lot about business, let's have our romantic time, let's separate the two. So how did you and your partner just separate that?
Yeah, we didn't for a while, so that was hard. We definitely took, I think, it too personally as a business and too much from YouTube into the business, because YouTube was more fun and we were able to be creative and do things with the business. There's a much bigger project and importance of finances and things that play into it. So it transferred over a little bit with how we structured things. What was the question? I think
how do you balance
how do we balance it? Yeah, basically like we had to learn to do that. It took a while knowing when each of us liked to talk about work. They're not the same. We have to realize that, we actually with work, we do this thing of like, what number are you at? Like, are you at a 1 or a 10? Like 10 being, are you just too overwhelmed with work? Like, are you ready to talk about this? Because sometimes it helps to know where you are. Like, if you're a little bit stressed, but you can talk about it, you can be like, I'm at a 6, so I might run out of steam on this conversation. And that helps a lot. Yeah.
We're going to use that. What number you at?
Yeah. Our therapist taught us that about our own relationship, and then it works everywhere to be able to just take a second and say, I'm at this point, because work, no matter what, is work and stressful. So yeah, we definitely have to like make it a point to stop each other if we feel like it's becoming, it's hard sometimes to work together. So yeah.
So I just find it like really interesting that you told me that your business boomed during COVID time. I think that's an amazing thing. Can you walk us through that, like starting the business and then a pandemic happening, and then I wonder how, like, what does that feel as a business owner? All of this stuff happening, like, what was your mindset, your thoughts?
When COVID started, I felt like my dreams were destroyed. I didn't know what was going to happen with the business. I didn't know if we didn't know if we could be open even at that point. But I would say the pandemic. I kind of forgot what I was saying. Oh crap. Yeah, I would say like it's more related to, what was the question again?
So I guess let me see, how can I word this again?
Yeah, no, I think you said it right too, and I got on a tangent.
Basically, starting your business and then COVID happening.
Yeah. COVID just gets me stressed right away, so I forget. It was, we didn't know what we were gonna be doing. If we were gonna be delivering or having people do pickups, but people wanted so many things for indoors, for their home when they were stuck inside, that having this business that before pandemic, I was about to go drive to Arizona, New Mexico, and get cactus in a truck and drive them up. And I had this big dream, like adventure in my head of how the business would function. And then we were kind of just stuck in New York the whole time. So in a weird way, everyone else that was stuck ended up wanting plants. We were able to build that out. It helped a lot to have that good business, but it also took away some important data for us, because when you start a business those first few years, you learn your seasons and when people shop and don't shop. We ended up having just people want to shop for the whole year, and great for business, but then right after the pandemic ended, you kind of see it go back to the normal trend, which is good to know, but also like I would have known that years ago, but the pandemic created this moment that was good for the business. It kept the business going. It was fun to see people then, even if it was kind of stressful to have to do head counts on people coming into the store and all of that. It was a lot of extra things, I don't think any of us really wanted to do, but it worked out for some businesses that were focused on like home goods and interiors.
I have a question. So do you feel like you thrive more being in Buffalo rather than your hometown? Because we actually, God told us to move to Houston. And like in Buffalo, we kind of feel like, since it's our hometown, like we see the same thing sometimes all the time. It's not as bad as it used to be, but I feel like we just feel like we could use something new. Do you feel like when you went to Buffalo that they give you like, I don't know, like new fresh, like your new fresh campus,
like your new start,
versus New York, where it's like, okay, you know where everything's at, and the same people. Do you feel like that kind of helped the business too, just being in a new environment?
Yeah, new environment helped, but then as an adult, it kind of is really hard to make friends and that. So moving here, I knew for business and for like our dreams of like looking for a home, being able to afford a home and things like that. Buffalo already had that kind of like, people I think knew that is what they could come here for. But I also knew for me, like I'd lived here in college, so I was here 2002 to 7. And that period in Buffalo, I learned how to have my own apartment, pay my own bills, and it was all really affordable. All my other friends that were in bigger cities had to have roommates, and it was a much tighter situation. And I feel like my time in Buffalo gave me my adult preview of like what life is. But then I came back to Buffalo, and I wouldn't say it's like, it is better here than New York City, I think, for starting a business. But I don't think I don't think Buffalo necessarily is taking anything away that New York City always takes. Like here, it doesn't really take from you. Like you're not paying insane rents, you're not getting the soul sucked out of you. So for people I think that live here and are from here, it's hard to see the newness in Buffalo, but when you're not from here, like I see people moving here every day as customers. It's like people are like, no one's moving here. I'm like, they really are though. Like they're coming in my store and it's like half the customers. So I don't know where they're not from New York State either. So I think it's important to go somewhere. I think it's nice to go and learn somewhere else because I think a place like Buffalo benefits from you going somewhere bigger, learning and bringing something back. So I think for people that are from here, I think people that leave can easily come back because they can take what they learned and put it to use here. There's just a lot of like archaic things here that are just have never really worked or have been introduced here. So I think when you go to other cities, you can learn that pretty easily. But you know, I understand people when you're from a place, it's hard to see it for what it is because most of my friends are from here. They all think we are from here too, and we're not. But yeah, I think you're not alone in that boat. So
So I have two questions for you. So my first question is like, so you know how you may look at somebody famous who was a singer and that somebody may say, ever since they was younger, I seen it in them. So what qualities and what traits were in you when you were younger that you feel like is still in you now that is a part of who you are right now, part of you owning your business, or just not even just business, that's one side. So just other parts of yourself.
It's all my childhood person, like who I was as a kid. I don't think I recognize that in my 20s that much because I was very much looking back as like I have to grow up and do more. And now I'm like in my late 30s, and when I look back at my childhood, I see a lot of things that are here now. Like I used to rearrange plants around the house. I used to do things when I was very young to like create scenes and looks with things. And this whole space is kind of a canvas for me to create a look when people come in. And I never really thought about that as what I was doing and it connecting to me as a child. I love to decorate as a kid, and I'm not a decorator here for other people. It's really just for my space. So there's things like that play out. I always liked theater as a kid, so there is a little bit of me as a YouTuber that with a business like this, it's like I'm okay to get on camera and I'm comfortable to go on camera, and that kind of stuff paid off. I just didn't know all of that would lead into my career, that me futzing with plants and moving them around. And I also weirdly had a dream of, the first store idea I ever had was opening a light bulb store. I was in Manhattan and I walked around and there was just like this guy with like really cool light bulbs in the window, and I was like, I want that job. Like I want to just sell cool light bulbs, and now I kind of have light bulbs in here, so
it looks nice. It looks really
just decorated with them instead.
Okay, so my other question for you was, what was the other question? What would you tell somebody that's struggling? They know that they have it in them, or they know they want to have this business, they're tired of their 9 to 5, but they just can't, they don't find themselves just taking that leap. What would you tell somebody? Or they just like, I don't know about business, I don't know if people are going to support me or not. What would you tell that person? I
would say take the time to do the research for yourself so that you can figure out who you really have to know who your, I want to say client, not your client, your customer is. Like if you're doing a business where you're customer facing, you want to know that that need is there, whether it's local or digitally out there. It's because if you don't know who they are, you don't really know what you're building and or what it's for. So I did a lot of like research on that. I think that's really helpful. And it was all through just honestly like running some Facebook or Instagram ads, seeing who was clicking on things, like that kind of stuff really helps. And I have a little bit of a background in social media with that, so it's fun to play with those tools. You can really see who's looking at what you're doing and play with that. And then also like I just thought I'd have everything together earlier, and none of this is together. Like this is all, to me, it's all very scattered. These are a million ideas in this space and what I do, and none of them ever seem to be completed really, but they all are completed. Because if I talk to anyone that comes in here, it's like, no, you did it. And I'm like, no, I have like 100 projects and none of them have crossed the finish line. They don't really ever, and everything changes so often in life and in business that, like the pandemic, for instance, it's like I just had to roll with it, and I rolled with it and it worked out. So, you know, there's not that much you can prepare for, but do that preparation and don't think of it as wasteful, because you're not going to get those customers or those clients right away. It's going to be a little bit of that time wait, and if you didn't do that research, you might feel like you didn't take the time to do it and regret it, you know. It just gives you more time to know what you're learning about your customers, and I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
I'll say like when you do have like a lot of pressure on you and like with the business, or maybe just life in general, relationship? Like, what do you do to bring yourself back down to a point of peace, like ease, where you can just like clear your mind?
It takes me a while. It's not quick. I get very overwhelmed in here. There's a lot of plants to look at, and they're all screaming for water and pruning and things. So it's it's pretty hard sometimes to just like chill out. But after work, I just try to I meet a lot of customers here. A lot of my customers sometimes are folks that own other restaurants or bars, and I'll actually just I'm gonna go over to their bar after, and I'm gonna have a glass of wine, and I do a little wind down at another local business, because then I can see all of them doing what I was just doing, and I can kind of shut down a little bit. That helps me a lot. I think seeing people and not having it be a customer breaks it for me, so I can relieve myself a little bit, so I can see a bartender and chat a little bit. That I do, and then honestly I have a therapist and I go to therapy, and it's really helpful to have a space to go and vent and know that someone there is not my husband or my business partner hearing about it, and they can kind of talk me down a little bit on things that I might be stressing about. So I make that mental health effort for myself, because I don't know if I could do it without it right now. It helps.
Do you feel like you get caught up sometimes in just like being yourself, that you forget like how far you came? Like, I know you were just saying sometimes you feel like your projects are unfinished, and people are like, no, you like, this looks good. Like, do you feel like you just come to moments where you just like, wow, I've came so far? Because I think sometimes we just forget, like, if we look back, like just some months ago I didn't have money, or I was about to get evicted. Do you have moments like that too?
Yeah, I mean, I have them, and I try to remind myself that it's like building a business and being in this space. Could you do that question again? I'm so sorry. I kind of missed the point of it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I have a hard time with my beginning to end of thoughts. This is why business owning is very hard. No, but you were saying, even with like customers coming in when I'm dealing with people and keeping my head in a certain space, like I try really hard to like give off my persona and give off what people want to see when they come in. And is that answering it? I may not have.
No, I love that. You're just me and you. I want you to be free. I love that.
This is my end of the day brain. It's like,
I love that you just sat back. I want you to be comfortable. Like, you don't have to be too professional. Just come as Billy.
I know. I'm always trying. I'm a hard critic on myself. But that's also being a business owner and being front facing to people, is like I criticize myself a lot on things. But I work hard not to as well. So.
Do you have any anything you would consider as like, would you consider yourself being shy? Because I know some people, they do a good job at portraying themselves to be confident, and you would really think that this person doesn't struggle with any thoughts of being shy or anxiety. Do you feel like you have moments of that? Because you can't tell from the outside.
I am shy and anxious for sure. The YouTube years helped me a lot, like learn how to just relax, but it really is a performance at times. Like, this doesn't feel like a performance, but I feel comfortable because I can tap into like this kind of ability to just smile, do my thing, and like I feel confident in it. But then at other times I lose it. But this is like
I'm glad you could be vulnerable. You could be like, sometimes repeat that question.
I know, I have to sometimes. And when we did YouTube, I always had to be like, okay, start over, wait, what? So sorry, but
you see, sometimes we got our moments where we're like, okay, what's the next question?
I have a hard time remembering the beginning to the end of a question to the end of my thought. So that's always.
Especially if the question a little long, I don't understand. It's like, hold up.
Wait a minute. Let me round this up.
And I practice that as a business owner all the time, because sometimes I get in really deep conversations with my customers, trying to help them with certain things, but I'll get too excited about it, or too into my like happy mode of like helping people, that I like don't remember what I'm doing or what goes in their bag or what their things are, because I'm chatting. So it happens.
And what you about to say?
I wanted to know, like, is your therapist, like, are they for heterosexual couples, or?
I go to a queer city therapy is like focused on queer couples, non-monogamy, things that might kind of fit outside of the box. So that I like a lot.
You feel like that helps? Like, it's more like of a, like they can understand more versus like a man and a woman.
Yes. I mean, I think it just gives you a little bit of a head start, because the person already knows the headspace, or knows the challenges. So I think it helps. Same with my doctors. I go to like gay doctors. I go to Evergreen because I just know that they know what I'm talking about. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
we're definitely talking about that. Like, we should probably get a woman that obviously likes women, because it's different.
In a relationship, as a woman, with another woman.
Yeah.
Because we both women, so
yeah.
It's just different.
They're like, yeah, you probably are getting like asked questions that you're just like really not wanting. You're like, this has nothing to do with my life. So
because we've never been to therapy together before, but we just talked, being open about it.
Yeah.
So it just came to our mind like, okay, we should find somebody that can understand this space that
Yeah.
we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was gonna say you can ask us some questions as well.
Yeah.
You know, ask us something.
Well, I mean, I want to listen to your podcast. I'm going to take a listen. So I'm curious a little bit about what your passions are and like what things you guys are aiming to do that was outside of the podcast or with the podcast.
You want to answer first?
Let me take a moment. Well, first of all, I feel like we're very passionate about Jesus, God. Like
awesome.
A lot of our conversations consist of that. Like we're always talking about what God is doing in our lives, what God is doing around us in the world, and we just got a close relationship with Him for sure. So you'll definitely see on our podcast, you'll see a lot of videos like that, where we're just pouring into people and just spreading the good news.
I can feel that, so thank you.
For sure, that's nothing but the Lord. Definitely passionate about that. Like I said, when I say it's most of our conversations, it really is. I say, what else you want to say, babe?
I would say we're just really into, just seeking God's will. I would say just new things. We don't like to feel too much of the same. We like to just experience new things, do different things. Entrepreneurs, we don't,
adventure too.
Adventure.
We're not too keen to like the structure thing. We like to, let's just go here. Like we never been here before. We never, you know what I'm saying? We're definitely
we like to live life. And don't get it wrong, you can live life and still have structure. Right. But sometimes we like to just say, why not do this and have some fun? You know what I'm saying? Because you're living life in every moment.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes you just like to have a little extra. Why not do this? We can be going tomorrow.
Yep. I'm a person that likes to pick up and go and do something because that's where the adventure starts. You gotta hop on those little lily pads until you are somewhere interesting. So
it's like even today, we don't have a car, we didn't have any bus fare, just to be vulnerable. But today was just like we're not gonna let that stop anything. We're gonna film this podcast episode, and what happens. So I walked from like where I live, and she walked from where she lives, and we just met up here and just called it a day.
Love it. I love that.
Also too, the heavy on the entrepreneurs because we're both not working the job. We actually are really passionate about just having our own. Of course, obviously God is the CEO, but like we feel like God has just been telling us that we placed a lot of gifts in you guys. A lot of He placed a lot of things in us. So so right now that's basically.
Just look for the signs. You'll know what the things are.
And He's showing the signs. Like for example, we just sold some dinners yesterday and. The investment money wasn't even out of our pocket. Someone we never even met invested and gave us $100 to buy the ingredients. You know what I'm saying? And that came without a job. And I feel like sometimes, people think you have to have a job for that security. But God is our security, and He has been just providing. So, and we feel like this is just the beginning. We can't tell you like too much. This. We just know that we on this journey and.
Good positivity. I love to hear that.
So,
we know that our steps is ordered. Like when I had actually that one question, like when you were a kid and how things like connect with who you are right now, and just all I was thinking about was God. Like how you didn't know at the time.
It's a good way to see yourself as a person too. Is like remind yourself that.
Because at the time you were just thinking, okay, I'm just living, and I'm doing these plants like it was just your own personal thing, but it was already pre-planned before
it was in me.
It was already in you. So I just find that,
and it just kind of refound itself later. It's nice to
I find that very interesting.
It's always been in you. It's always been there.
Yeah.
I
love that.
What you think? That's the podcast? I feel like that's it.
Yeah, sweet.
Would you like to say something to maybe the guest, or would you like to end something off and say something? Maybe?
I'll just if you ever want to come say hey, like come stop by and see me at Daddy's Plants. You can just come in and take in the good vibes of the space and enjoy what Niagara Street has to offer, or come in for a good conversation. I'm always around, so happy to help.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, anytime.
All right, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to comment now. Leave I feel like I'm all over the plate. Subscribe and
leave a comment. Don't forget to like. Thank you for tuning in. Would y'all like to end it off with a prayer?
Yes.
If you don't mind.
Oh yeah, sure.
All right.
Thank you, God, for this moment of allowing all three of us to cross paths in this shop right now, God. We know that it's not in vain, and There are so many gems in this moment, God. I just pray that today you keep filling us up with giving us everything we need. Give us our daily bread, God, and may we continue to depend on you and lean on your strength and not our own understanding, God. I pray that you continue to guide us and you continue just to show us the way, and that we listen and our hearts is open. I pray that we move out of love constantly and that we just seek you. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
In Jesus' name, amen. All right.
Okay. All right, bye, y'all. We out.
Bye.
Okay.